Steve Bruce then, Marley. It's You've been calling for him to go for a while now. He's arguably, well, actually, maybe not inarguably, the wrong man for the job in the view of a lot of Newcastle fans. He seems to be defended by the media quite stoutly in terms of a kind of, what can you expect? He's doing the best he can type argument. But is it time to make that change now? And is Mike Ashley going to make that change?
100% yes and 100% no, because it's obviously not working. You can see that the players aren't responding to what he says. If they are responding to what he says, then that's an even bigger problem, because 5 at the back, 4 in midfield, only one natural winger in the team. You're not set up to go and win games. You're not trying to go and win games with that lineup and that formation. So it's all very, very negative. And he says things like, well, we're not the most talented side in the league. Well, yeah, we're not, but we're much more talented. We've got a lot more talent than what he sets us up. He sets us up as if we've only got good defenders and we haven't got anybody that can string a pass together. And the lack of that is reflected in the way the team plays, because they're scared to try anything. They're scared to be creative. They haven't got that license to go and try something. But as we know with Newcastle, it won't get changed unless it's seriously going to financially affect the value of the club and Mike Ashley's pocket, basically.
And from that point of view, I guess it's still difficult to see Newcastle going down, because even though their form is terrible, there are other teams in the Premier League who are performing equally bad. West Brom's gone, Sheffield United, despite this win, it's very difficult to see them staying up. And I suppose as long as Newcastle retain that Premier League status, all's well in Mike Ashley's world.
Yeah, that's probably about right. The thing is, as well, Mike Ashley is a prolific businessman, and with the current state of the world in the pandemic and no end in sight to retail and things like that closing and opening again, he's essentially got eyes elsewhere. He's a vulture waiting for high street businesses to close down so he can buy them and monopolise the high street, like he's been trying to do for his entire business career, basically. So I think he was linked with trying to buy, was it Debenhams or someone like that a few months ago, and that's where his interests are. His interests aren't in, the football club I own isn't picking up quite enough wins. So really, like, until we're in trouble, like big trouble, like the bottom 3, he won't really care. Which is the annoying thing for fans, obviously, because we know we're stuck with Steve Bruce until it looks like it can knock 100 million of value off the value of the club if we ever do get taken over, which is obviously the long-term goal at Newcastle. But I mean, Steve Bruce is so fortunate that there are no fans in the stadiums at the minute, because he would be getting so much abuse to the point where he would almost think about walking away. He keeps denying it, keeps saying, I'm never going to walk away from the challenge. I'll never walk away from this team. And he talks about, like, Newcastle being his team, and when he was a kid he would go with his dad and sit on the Lees' end and squeeze under the turnstiles and get in for free if he could. And all I think when he says that and stuff like that and plays on his Geordiness type of thing is, if he was a kid, squeezing under the turnstiles and getting in and watching this Newcastle team, he would be absolutely fuming, and he would be thinking, we need a new manager. This guy isn't up to it, and he hasn't got that sort of sense and almost decentness to just say, I'm not good enough for this, or something needs to change quickly, because he doesn't try anything new. He's not proactive. Like Ian said, he reacted last night when we went 1-0 down rather than at half time to try and introduce a much needed second attacker into the team. Someone, not necessarily a striker, just somebody who can pass the ball. I think we had Shelvey, Almiron, Joe Linton all on the bench, and they're all attack-minded players, and none of them even came on until we went 1-0 down. And even then it was, let's get Andy Carroll on and try and hoof it towards him from free kicks. And it was just, it's one of them. I was just thinking, like, if you were watching this team as a 10-year-old, you'd go and support someone else. You wouldn't feel any attachment to this team, because it's so, it just drains it out of you. You almost don't want to watch football when it's your team playing like this, because it's just it's a waste of 2 hours. It's like it just puts you in a bad mood for the rest of the night. And the following morning, when you've got to go on a podcast, and luckily this podcast is the perfect thing for me because I can get to vent about it to football fans who are probably sick of me talking about it, but I don't care. You stuck with me, so it's just one of them. I just think, you know, if you were a fan as a kid, you would hate this team. You would really despise this team. And it's getting to that point for a lot of fans. They don't want to watch this team, and we've got no way of, other than social media, we've got no way of communicating that to the board, because that's the only way we'd get him out, is if we made it so toxic that the board were like, hang on a minute, it'll cost 3 million to get rid of him on his compensation, but it will cost us 150 million in club value if he does take us down.